Hey everyone. So, I'm not really sure how to start this, but I want to kind of talk about this idea of tough love and the way that I think that this is used in a really negative sort. So, like, we've had people have this discussion on our Discord about the idea that tough love is a thing that is necessary sometimes, and other people frame it as being, occasionally abusive. I guess I want to come at it from a different angle, and that is, for me, the purpose of tough love, the purpose of love, the purpose of compassion is to help the other. In my Zen order, the term for this was twofold. You had idiot compassion and fierce compassion. Idiot compassion is when you do whatever is necessary to essentially get the other person to shut up. Say they want to tell you about their bad day, or they're having a panic attack, but because you're uncomfortable with their feelings or their intensity, and I do this sometimes with Zena when Zena gets really upset, you try to do whatever you can to shut down the thing rather than leaning in and actually trying to be of service. Idiot compassion is about taking care of ourselves, but it also means that we're not really helping the other person. We're just trying to shut them down. That's not to say that you can't do good things in that, but I don't know if it necessarily leads to always great outcomes. The other type of compassion is fierce compassion. That is compassion that is what it needs to be. So what I mean by that is that there are times, from a skillful perspective, skillful means perspective, sometimes you need to give that person a hug. Sometimes they are struggling, right? But other times, the proper intervention might be calling them out, or might be calling them on their bullshit. Fierce compassion is something that transcends this idea of just trying to make the other person feel better. It's using the intervention that's necessary in the moment to cut through bullshit and get right to the core of the issue. This isn't for the faint of heart. So when I hear people say tough love, what I often hear is idiot compassion. Because what I hear them saying is them telling some person, suck it up, be a man, all these other fucking toxic ass ideas. And the problem is that I don't actually think that leads to good outcomes. What I think that does is it leads to suppression, it leads to toxic masculinity, it leads to all of these ways in which a person doesn't allow themselves to deal with their emotions. Now, are there times when that can be good? Maybe. I mean, if someone's deep in grief and not able to really function in their life, or their depression is so bad that you might have to do some kind of, more assertive intervention, sure. But that would fall to me more under fierce compassion. If you have a person that is so deeply depressed that they can't function, yeah, trying to talk them out of it, or in some ways try to talk them into not feeling as shitty, isn't going to work. You might have to kick them in the butt. If they're getting near suicidal, you might have to hospitalize them. I've said before, if I have a friend that's looking to commit suicide, I'm going to just call the hospital. I'm going to call the police. They're going to get hospitalized. Why? Because I would rather them be alive than them be my friend. The example I always give with this always weirds people out, but I'll tell it again because I think it's important. As many of you know, back in 2020, my teacher, Junpo Dennis Kelly Roshi, passed away. Junpo was my Zen teacher for 10 years. He was an amazing man. He had a lot of intricacies and a lot of difficulties. He wasn't always easy to deal with, but he was a good man. One of the things that he struggled with was that his health was regularly real bad. At one point, he was scheduled to die of stage 4 throat cancer. And apparently he had a tumor buildup on his neck that was pretty big. Right? Throat cancer's a bitch. So they were at this Zen retreat, and we all sit in a circle. Everyone's sitting meditating, and there's this guy there, and he just won't stop whining. He's like sniffling. He's got a cold. He's uncomfortable. He doesn't feel good. He's and not only is he not really getting with the program, that is, he isn't working on himself. He's not doing the work he should be. What he's doing is actually bringing it down for everybody else. He's actually, in some ways, preventing them from being there and practicing. So what happens? They get up to do walking meditation, which is called kinhin. You walk forward, your head down like this, your hands are like this on your stomach, and you start walking. And they were going around, this guy's still sniffling and having a bad time and being really disruptive to the people around him. Junpo gets out of line and waits. And what happens is when the guy comes up, Junpo grabs him by the collar. This is my 6'5", 6'8", whatever fucking height he was, I can't remember off the top of my head. Giant ass Zen teacher who's dying of fucking throat cancer, grabs this guy by the collar and basically holds him up, slams him to the wall and says, "Look, could you keep it down? Some of us are trying to die here." He lets him go. And for the rest of the retreat, this guy has Kleenex stuffed up his nose, he's sitting like a rock, he's quieted down. Because in that moment, some may argue that was abusive, that was assault, you could say all sorts of things about it. To me, and this is one thing you may not like, to me, that might have been the right intervention at that moment. They could have had staff pull him aside and talk to him. Trust me, I've been on staff to those things. People listen sometimes. But Junpo taking that risk allowed him to cut through this guy's nonsense and to understand the situation here. You're whinging about having a cold when in reality, there are people around here that are literally dying of incredibly awful ailments. And this isn't like the whose trauma's worse shit. We're literally talking about like a basic bitch cold versus throat cancer. And to me, this is one of those situations where the means does justify the end, because if you look, this man had a good experience. His report was he had a great time. He really got a lot out of it, and he was able to get through his own nonsense. To me, that's a demonstrable truth that that's what Junpo did was right. Ed Astra said, in counseling school, we spoke about something similar. We were prompted to ask clients when having discussions, do you want to listen and respond, or both? Because so many people, not just clients, just want to be heard with no intervention. And sometimes that can be a major unhealthy issue. Sometimes just listening is all that someone needs and is the intervention. Your mileage may vary. Yeah, I actually have a really hard time with just listening. Despite that being like a direct koan from my Zen training, it's that I like therapy to be dynamic. I like to interact with the person. I want to have a conversation. So the people that just want to sit there and kind of talk about stuff, I genuinely have a hard time with, because it can easily turn toxic. It can easily turn into them not really dealing with their shit. It's just they let the gas off. They kind of, take off some pressure, and then they, go back into their life and they do the same shit again, and they have the same bad relationships, and then they come back in and they do it. And it's like it's letting off a release valve, right? The term I use for this is the one I stole from my friend Ellis, which was, what level of response do you want from me? Do you want, and I need to work with this with Zena because I say it to you guys all the time, but I forget it in the moment because ADHD is a bitch. Do you want level 1, 2, or 3? Level 1 is just pure listening and support. That's it. Not a goddamn thing else. Level 2 is listening and support with mild, feedback, right? Hey, maybe you could try this, maybe do this. And level 3 is direct, unfiltered, raw feedback. And what that does is it makes the person consider what they need in the moment, which most people aren't accustomed to doing. They don't like doing that because it means they have to own their needs and own what they want in the section, and also own what the fuck they're, own what they're wanting, own what they need, and also, and to some degree,
we have to pause whatever emotional thing you're in right then, right? You've got to put a break on it to actually go, wait a minute, I actually got to deal with this shit instead of just being stuck in whatever thing you're in.
Well, yeah, because it forces them to step back, right? So it pauses them to step back, and they have to actually go, okay, what needs to be the way to deal with this? Because if they're still identified with, we talked about this before, from a Buddhist psychological perspective, and that is a field, there is a way in which, because of the way we identify with things, that causes problems. It's no different than CBT, right? You think about a thing a particular way, that causes feelings, those feelings cause behaviors. The same way, when you're still identified with the feelings, it doesn't feel like there's any way out, you're really, really struggling. But if you can push someone to actually step back and go, okay, what do I need in the moment, what's going on? They suddenly realize that the feeling is not them. The feeling is actually a thing arising in their awareness. It's not a subject, it's an object. Right? It's not part of their subjective experience. It's an object arising in their subjective experience. There's a difference there. And once you realize and be able to separate from that feeling, you can realize that that feeling is just information. It's just something for you to process and be with and experience. It's not trying to hurt you. A lot of us have been trained growing up to think our emotions are there to hurt us. And so we create all these ways to get away from them and escape them and deal all that.
Or other people's emotions are there to hurt us.
This is one of the reasons why conflict gets such bullshit in the online left, is that we don't know how to deal with conflict, so everyone gets all triggered and loses their shit, because you have people who are naturally conflict oriented, and you have people that want to avoid it at all cost, and this creates some really, really difficult situations, because ideally, conflict is good. Abuse is bad. When you are actively inflicting harm on someone with no other goal other than power, that's abuse. That's harmful. But when you're actually engaging in legitimate conflict is a healing thing. It brings up issues. It brings up problems. Conflict is the way you address things within a system. This is why so many times in authoritarian governments, or even just, top-down, fucking corporations, being angry at management, being angry about a thing is quashed, shut down, pushed down. Why? Because they don't want you to change it. How many people had to get super angry to actually push through the wall of noise that was preventing the Blizzard workers from actually speaking out about the shit they went through? Mm-hmm. And so I guess my thought with this is that tough love as a concept is kind of dumb, because it doesn't actually go into the question. I would say, is your compassion actively aimed at the other person, and not just for you to avoid feelings you're uncomfortable with? Because that feelings being uncomfortable with is where all the problems arise. So it comes down to, what is the skillful means in the situation? How are you skillful in this situation? And if you can't be, which, happens with me and Zena sometimes, you just have to own that. Sometimes you're not in that space. It's hard. It's really hard, especially when you're someone like me. I literally have borderline personality disorder. If I can't be there to support support my partner, or support my, the people I care about, I get a panic attack because I figure they're going to abandon me. But you have to be able to create that space to ask yourself, okay, what do they need in this moment? Niana said, so much to do with psychology or psychiatry is getting victims of industrialists to interact with reality, except that love is literally a human need. I mean, yes, Niana, but also
I don't know what direction we're going in with that.
Yes, but no. Yes, but actually, no. Yeah, I don't know. That's a hard one for me.
Maybe give us a larger post at some point. Because I think I've lost the thought trail. Yeah, maybe I don't know if I'm not reading chat fully. I mean, that might be a thing.
Yeah, I guess I'll say this real quick as to Niana's point real quick, and just this is sort of, unless I'm misunderstanding it. I'm going to say something no one likes. Love isn't that deep. Love feels great. It's wonderful. Hormones go off, a whole bunch of cool neurotransmitters go off. But love is just a feeling. It's not this magical energy. It's not this thing that permeates the universe. It's not this white light that... No, it's just a fucking feeling. Doesn't mean that it's good or bad. It's just a fucking feeling. Have I ever actually like read you one of my favorite quotes from Irving Yalom? Love is Executioner. Have I ever read that quote to you guys?
I don't know. I feel like it's come up before.
Let me see if I can find it.
I think it must have been at least in the Distorted Thinking series. Okay, yeah, I do think we've probably lost the chat a little bit, love. I think that is kind of what happened.
No, that's fine.
So.
That's fine. No worries.
Y'all are pretty based. So.
You guys are pretty based. Glad you're keeping up. So, oh no, and love and support and social interaction are absolutely necessary. Like, let me read you guys this, and then I'll kind of end this, because we're kind of going off track, but I think this is a really fun quote, and I just want to share it. All right? Actually, there's two here I want to read, because I think both of them are important.
I think I got a piece or two, so.
Okay. Do you want to do yours real quick, and I can read it?
Go ahead and read.
Okay.
We're here. We got it.
All right. So first one. I do not like to work with patients who are in love. Perhaps it is envy. I, too, crave enchantment. Perhaps it is because love and psychotherapy are fundamentally incompatible. The good therapist fights darkness and seeks illumination, while romantic love is sustained by mystery and crumbles upon inspection. I hate to be love's executioner. One of the fathers of existential therapy. Based, right? He goes on to say, love is not just a passionate spark between two people. There is infinite difference between falling in love and standing in love. Rather, love is a way of being, a giving to, not a falling for, a mode of relating at large, not an act limited to a single person. Y'all need to read more fucking Yalom. Seriously. If you ever get a chance to read the book Gift of Therapy, it's fucking amazing.
It is good, yeah. It's also an easy read. It's not like it's
that's Psychosocialism. That's because you're an idiot. So.
What? I don't even know what's happening anymore.
Said, I don't buy the love is mystery take. I think that's you not understanding the actual quote. I will challenge you on that one, my love. I'm sorry. The romantic love by its nature is sustained by mystery. This is why upon living with a person, seeing them go to the bathroom, seeing their living habits, why so many couples struggle. Because once they hit that stage in the relationship, they actually have to deal with a real human and not just the projections their enticement has led them to.
The loving someone and then also having to deal with every time they fucking leave dishes around the entire house. Now, this is not actually one of my irritations. I'm using one that's not mine for a reason here. But still, every time they leave dishes around the house, when you're like, shit, I'm trying to do something. Why is this here? No. Like, reality hits hard sometimes. Now you've got to kind of confront each other on this shit.
Yeah, and I'm going to be really clear with that. Psychosocialism, I'll respond to everybody here. That's not love in my experience. Yeah, because it's enchantment. It's enticement. It's neurological bullshit that happens before real love happens. Real love starts at that point where you have to actually see the real person. So Socialism Senpai says, I think romantic love can exist in other forms, though. No, I would say there are stages of love. It depends. Psychosocialism says, I disagree. I think love is knowledge, true knowledge of someone. I would say also you're still off your nut, Psychosocialism. I would actually say you can't ever know a person. The only way to know a person would be to be them, to be in their own interiority. The person to you is always a mystery. That's actually how you remember that you love a person and remember that they're always worth exploring and being with and engaging with. Because if you sit there and pretend you know someone, the mind doesn't care. It's no longer novel. And the truth is you don't know them. You could live with someone for 40 years and never truly know them. Even being a telepath wouldn't work because you wouldn't be in their lived experience, Spectacular. I'm sorry. I know you guys want to create ways that, like, you can know a person, but you fucking can't. Here's where Jess pulls out the tough love baton.
I think we do have some of those that we went over in some of the Distorted Thinking series.
I do think we did too.
You need a bigger conversation.
I think too, but then chat's like, what? Chat's like, but love isn't like that.
No. But also, I say this not just for people that we know, or have seen before on chat, but also if you're new to our channel, there is a whole big Distorted Thinking series, and go check it out. It's pretty fucking good. Yeah.
Yeah. The problem being is that I think the reason why early romantic love is so powerful is because you're projecting your wants and desires on a person. You're not really seeing them. But the problem is eventually when you start seeing the parts of them and things like that, No, I don't think that's true.
Which it's not to say that, like...
Novelty is a component of attraction. Familiarity is how you breed care and support, but that's not the same thing. Yes, in early hormones, first 5 years, pair bonding. Yeah, Psychosocialism, if you want to debate me on this sometime, I am more than happy to have this discussion because I think you're off your nut. The idea that you can never know with someone, cool. I need you to actually figure out someone you truly know, and I will deconstruct for you every way that you are projecting. Because all you're using is behavioral data points to construct an image of that person. To say you know them is to kill them, because to know a thing is to stick it on a wall and call it what it is. There is no true way to ever know a thing, let alone know another individual. That is why we interact with other beings, because to be honest, you are trying to in some ways know the other and their own interiority and their own sentience. There's no way to know that. I am sorry. This line of thinking will forever piss me off. It is literally just psychobabble nonsense. You really get to know that person? No, you don't. Like, you just don't. I'm sorry.
Sucks. There's that. Jess is good at that, just saying.
Like, I hate to get Stunlocked on this, but, like, I legitimately hate that line of thinking. To say you know the other is to utterly remove it. This is like people saying they know enlightenment. But wanting to know other? Yeah, but now you've gone to my position. You just pivoted. You went from, well, knowing them is really important. I'm wanting to know more. You mean exploring the mystery of the fact that you could never truly know them, so it's an ongoing process like I was just explaining? Oh my God. Ah! What makes no sense to you, Morningstar Council? Please enlighten me. I don't know what you're talking about. Why do I get Stunlocked? Like, it's every time. It's just someone says something and I'm just like, God damn it. This was about tough love at one point. Now I have to give chat tough love.
This is what we do instead of like Zen Circle, isn't it?
This is what I do when my therapist is off for a month.
That too.
Yeah. And the idea of socialist senpai, there's no way to truly know what their world is, or even if there is a world out there, that shit gets weird. Psychosocialism said, but you can be confident in knowing what you currently know. No, you can't.
That person is constantly growing and changing and shifting. Like, they're constantly coming into contact with new experiences separate from you, right? Like, you cannot know every goddamn thing happening with them.
Tiamat, I know you want to hear what ZZ says, but also I can finish my thought.
What?
Please.
Oh, no. Just as fine. This is not...
That felt really gross. I'm just going to let you know. This is what I'm saying to you, is that there's no knowing at any given point. All you're ever doing is... imagine it like you're plumbing the depths of some mysterious energy or way of being. And the problem is it's always changing. It's always shifting. And so the only way to know it is to be constantly observing it, because the thing is, when you think you know the other is when shit goes wrong. This is why a guy who's been married to his wife for 20 years, they got together at 20, they're in their 40s now, and she runs off with the yoga instructor. Because while he was working one job, she was doing therapy and fucking yoga. She woke up and actually dealt with her emotional trauma that led her to that asshole, and then she leaves. Him the whole time holding the bag, wondering what happened. You think you know the other. You do not. I know that's a really hard fucking thing. But I'm sorry, you just can't ever truly know the other. It sucks, and it's literally one of the most existentially frightening things possible. But this is written throughout all of existentialism. Knowing the other is impossible. All you can ever do is experience them as they arise in that moment. But any attempt to sort of map out who they are or how they are is again, you're trying to take something that is incredibly complex and melt it down so you can know it. But this isn't a thing to be known, it's a thing to be experienced. Sorry, Pat. I'm sorry to get so irritated, but it's one of those things that's really frustrating. Because this idea is not, again, you can't get locked in this nothing of knowing. This was similar to the integral thing. People would be like, well, this doesn't make rational sex. Yeah, because it's fucking post-rational. A lot of predictive validity stuff. I mean, I don't think predictability has any purpose in this discussion. Just because you can gauge what someone's behavior is roughly going to be doesn't mean that at any point they can't change and that you had no way of knowing their interiority. Essentially, what you're doing is pulling a behaviorism. Like, say you believe in behaviorism without actually saying you believe in behaviorism. Like, that gets... What was that quote from the Asylum book in World of Darkness? Yeah, behaviorism works. So does torture. Like, it's... yeah, no, I'll drop it for now. But yeah, feel free to leave this in, Josh. I just... But to love a person is to understand that. Otherwise, it just drops into this rote material.
And projection.
And projection. And the problem is, And then Socialist Senpai is apparently getting off to the discussion. God damn it. I try. I fucking try.
I just... Is there like a good example here of like, Jess and I live very close to each other, like constantly all the fucking time, and like we've been together, we've done a lot of personal work, like, and there's still no way that I could know like everything about Jess for certain. I am still learning new things all the fucking time, every day. And same thing goes for Jess. Like, still learning new stuff about me. Like, there's no way that Jess could fully know every, like, all of this stuff. Yeah. Does that help? I don't know if that helps.
It helps a little. I guess my thought on this is that the way I'll wrap this back is this. Your engagement with the other person, if you're trying to offer care, is about trying to find the best intervention possible to be of assistance. With the assumption of knowing the other person, it means you are more likely to make confirmation bias errors. When you go in with the preconceived notion of this is how they are, without ever owning the level of pure unknown, what you do is you actually limit the number of interventions you're willing to use, because by that person, you've now assumed this, you're then engaging with them in a way where you're also trying to play the game of not messing with the relationship you have, which then circumvents your interventions to some degree. This is why therapists can't date their clients. It's why I can't be friends with my clients, because there would then be an emotional attachment of whether or not I would use certain interventions with them, and they would never know which role I was taking on depending on any given situation. Again, this is important. I love you too, Psychosocialism, but I will debate you on this till the end of fucking time. Rat King Sock said, I think my example is kind of silly, but so I love my rats a ton. And I have like researched rat behavior, so I know them, but my rats still surprise me every day since I cannot be the rat brain. Yes, that is exactly correct. While you can still make some level of predictions and understanding about a way a person is, again, from a very real perspective, we can never truly know the other. This is why being with someone for X number of years might give you tons of predictive validity on behavior. But their actual interiority, they actually knowing them, not their body, not their behavior, them. Whatever that self is, no. Point to a self, I fucking dare you. God damn it. I will go full Zen on this shit. I swear to Christ.
Yeah. We need another night for a Zen night, okay?
I will do a Dharma night and I will fucking... Yeah. All right, I love you guys. This segment went off the fucking rails.
I just...
I love you all.
All right.
What do we call it there? We'll see you in the next one. Wait, you have your thing?
Yeah.
Go do your thing. Never mind.
It's okay. It's okay. I am very used to being around for Zen Talks, and usually this stuff comes up in Zen Talks. So it's always interesting to watch people kind of, squirm and have to deal with the existential dread all of a sudden. I wish you all well with the existential dread. Hopefully, recover. But the thing I was gonna say with tough love is I really don't like that languaging anyways. I find it, I just be direct. Like, if you are like, I need to be in a place where I can take care of myself and my boundaries because I don't really have the spoons, you know, the ability, the skills, whatever, for another person. Just say you got fucking boundaries, or like, this is a limit for me. Like, I'm not able to do this right now. That's a boundary. Like, there's better ways to say than tough love. And at this point, tough love has been so co-opted by abusive asshats. Like, goddamn, that shit's abusive asshats are cringe, okay? So that's all. I just, also what Jess said, I like being around for the, you know, existential talks, but you know, I like being challenged. So hi. I hope you all do too, because heck, if you're here, this channel is going to challenge you at some point. So, you know.
Morningstar Council, I have a great number of paragraphs I could go into this, but it's way off track from the subject. I would enjoy squaring up philosophically. Yeah, I mean, if anyone wants to talk to me about it sometime, that's fine. I'm going to get fairly heated. I'm letting you know ahead of time. That's a gloves off moment. This is something like...
I'm gonna just let's
yeah, we're gonna leave it here.
We're gonna leave it here. Good segment.
Yeah, Bean Dad didn't do tough love. Bean Dad did abuse. We can all agree on that. All right.
He super did like the teach your kid to do a thing wrong. By the way, as somebody that works with lots and lots of kids, yeah, that's not your kid being hungry and like out of it because they're hungry is not the time to teach them like this brand new ass skill when they are clearly panicking. Like, what the fuck? Okay. See you in the next one.
All right. Love you guys. Bye.
If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Also, consider donating to us. You can support us on our website, transgirltherapist.org. You can also help us on our Patreon, link below, or you can become a member here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching.